Live now. All right.
Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Here we go. Today is January 29th. You guys will be seeing this on, well, you'll be seeing it live there. So everybody else, y'all gonna be seeing it later. All right. Tonight, we are lightly decoding the generational pains, miscommunications, and depression of the so-called Tower of Babel blocks. So again, the Tower of Babel block is Tower of Babel is a biblical reference to human unification, but human communication, tearing down the human manifestations, which was a tower. And so again, it's all type of nuggets within that story. But as of right now, I gotta let somebody else in. As of right now, we are just decoding the generational pains, miscommunications, and depressions. So 3 generational pains, miscommunications, and depression of the so-called Tower of Babel blocks, because this is building in the lost generation, the greatest generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers, Generation X, Millennials, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. Okay. So this disclaimer. This online lecture will only cover the mental and technological sides of depression. We will not be discussing the chemical sides of depression on this particular lecture. So again, we're only covering the technological sides and the mental sides of depression. All right. So I want to open up with a question. Now, when it comes to depression and suicide, do we thoroughly observe it? Do we thoroughly scrutinize it? Do we thoroughly watch it? Do we thoroughly view it? Do we thoroughly inspect it? Y'all see all that stuff I just did? Y'all saw that? Y'all saw that? So watch this. Most people would say no. And you sound like some type of soldier or bodyguard. Most people would say, if you analyze something like that, you literally sound like a soldier or a bodyguard. And I say, well, in a sense, they will be right. Our minds need protection, like a bodyguard, and we need to be soldiers about it. What type of bodyguard you want? You need to be soldiers about the protection. And since there is nothing new under this particular sun, who are the best protectors and soldiers on earth? Well, let's just say who's ever currently in power, right? And there are many armed forces. Remember that. There are many armed forces that currently keeps power maintaining its power. So I'm keeping it broad for a reason, but this is a broad universal statement. So let's focus on the pieces or the pie slices of the American Power Protection Pizza. Okay, so the American Power Protection Pizza. Does this mean that the mind has an FBI slice, a CIA slice, a Marine slice, an Air Force slice, an Army slice, a Navy slice, State Troopers slice, Park Rangers slice, Sheriff's Department slice, Police Department slice? And I said, let's focus on the pie slices of the American Power Protection Pizza. And I gave you all the slices of protection. I gave you the FBI, CIA, Marines, Air Force, Army, Navy, State Troopers, Park Rangers, Sheriff's Department, Police Department. Watch this. And this is not even all the departments, because there are many environmental sections to protect in American societies. Jason, what in the world that got to do with depression? Well, guess what? You have mental sections or slices in mind that needs your protection, our protection departments. So you need to apply for a new job. Congratulations. You need to add another job to whatever jobs that you're working, and apply for new employment as the department head of your military mind. So you need a new job. You are the new department head of your military mind. So what are the mental protection tactics? Because, okay, Jason, that makes sense. You got to protect your mind and you got to be military minded, but not a weirdo about it. Is that what you're saying? Yes. I'm not saying be a weirdo about it, but military mind just means you are good at protecting your mind. So how can one be military minded? Well, when it comes to depression and suicide topics, let's look at the scenarios of know your enemy versus not knowing your enemy. Here are some statements that we can say with good intentions, but these statements lack the solution paths needed for best healing and mind protection. This is gonna make sense here in a little bit. I'm gonna go back to that. When you usually hear something bad, you hear, "Oh, this is so sad," right? This is so sad. Now, this is a statement and a transference of energy with no solutions attached. So think about it. When somebody says, "Oh, this is so sad," I'm being sarcastic, but I'm acting like I'm waiting for them to say something else good. Because a lot of people say that when tragedies happen. And "Oh, this is so sad." That's all you're going to say? Oh, yes, that's all I'm going to say. Well, that statement is a transference of energy with no solutions attached. Number 2, I don't know what's going on. What's going on these days? What's going on with these youth? What's going on? You know that what's going on person? Well, this is a question and no solutions are there to unpack. Because you're literally saying, what is going on? Now, again, these are all tying into why this depression thing is so crazy. My heart aches for the family, or my heart goes out to the family. I'm going to say that again. My heart aches for the family, or my heart goes out to the family. Now, there's no solutions present. And why do you want to give someone your broken or weakened heart or your aching heart? Only. 4, praying for the family. Our prayers are going out. Praying for the family or our prayers going out. And again, a lot of this is online language that we need to add to, but if you just keep it like that, like we're being conditioned to do, faith without works is dead. So let's work out the faith that we're sending out to the families. So again, let's work out the faith that we're sending out to the families. Now, can you truly hear other people when you are in pain? Because we judge a lot of people's actions when they're in pain. I don't know how many hours y'all study this from a clinical standpoint. What do you mean clinical? Do you have your license? Do you have your... No, not like in that weird sense. But if you're saying that those are the only people that can read those books and get those books and check those books and buy those books and practice those books, watch this. On your own? No. In an educated, scholarly form that's protected by education. Oh, okay, because I was waiting to go against everything you were saying. So I'm going to say this again. Can you truly hear other people when you are in pain? Pain, hearing. Pain, hearing. Or does pain have to decrease before you can listen to outside words? If you are asking, or if you are asked to do 500 straight push-ups, you will eventually get tired. So let's just say you gave these push-ups your greatest effort, right? So let's just say, again, you was like, man, I'm about to really try to do 500 push-ups straight. Okay. You're not going to make it to 500 push-ups. So on your last push-up, when the pains of your work feel overwhelming, can you hear a deep conversation or relevant surface information? Because you can still hear under those conditions. Because again, personal training allows for people to hear certain information when they're literally at their peak, But can you learn your taxes? Can you learn about taxes if you never learned about taxes? On your last set. Tax information. No, but you can hear push, this way, that way. You're not going to hear anything deep. Under those particular circumstances, right? So, can you hear deep conversations or relevant surface information? Again, this is the example of being able to listen according to the severity of your current and past pains. So I finally get it. Most people can't hear other people because we are all in a gumbo pot or melting pot of generational gumbo that we inherited and caused, which means the generations under us will inherit what we inherited and caused. The earth has an avalanche of generational pains attached to it, and your skis or sleds are the solutions that make the potential deadly avalanche a smooth ride to the bottom. Let me see. One of the best military-minded solutions to the majesty. Now, I say this to a lot of men. One of the best military-minded solutions to the majesty of thinking, because there is bad thinking, but there is that which is merely the word think and the word king. And when you combine the K's of the last K of think and the first K of king, you combine those K's, the word thinking develops, which is the process of using one's mind to consider or reason about something, or using thought or rational judgment or intelligence. How can one be military minded if that one does not see, cannot see, does not want to see, does not know what to see, or does not know what he or she is actually looking at? The math and science problems are true on your math test. So just because you don't currently understand them doesn't mean levels of truth aren't present on your math or science test. I'm going to say that again. How can one be military minded if that one does not see, cannot see, does not want to see, does not know what to see, or does not know what he or she is actually looking at? Say you're in school taking the test, taking the math or science test. The math and science problems are true on your test, on your math or science test. So just because you don't currently understand them doesn't mean levels of truth aren't present on your math or science test. So let's upgrade seeing to surveillance. Because surveillance influences scene levels. So I'll say that again. Let's upgrade our scene to surveillance. What are we surveilling? Depression, suicide. I don't want to talk about it. Remember, watch the beginning of this. We can't act like that no more. Let's upgrade our scene to surveillance, which influences our scene levels. What's our general definition of surveillance? Close observation, especially of a suspected spy or criminal. So close observation, especially of a suspected spy or criminal. Depression is a spy and depression is criminal. What are synonyms? Observation, scrutiny, watch, view, inspection. Now let's tie that to let's just stop with depression, because depression is the gateway to all that. Observation of depression, scrutiny of depression, watching depression, viewing depression, inspection of depression. That's how you kill it. So let's go back to protecting our mind. General military mind defense info. Here we go. A so-called developed country should know if a so-called enemy is coming at them via sea, ground, air, or online, right? General military defense info. A so-called developed country should know if a so-called enemy is coming at them via sea, ground, air, or online, right? Well, who treats depression and suicide this way? Do we only react to this happening, or are we proactive in prevention? Meaning, we don't talk about suicide and depression thoroughly, and that's why that energy is so strong. It's hard to dissipate that energy, which is a form of killing it. Simple statement translation of what I just said is, the more we teach people how to read, the lower the percentages of illiteracy will be for those people. So definition of illiteracy is the inability to read or write, which is a form of killing illiteracy. So we don't talk about suicide and depression thoroughly. And that's why that energy is so strong. It's hard to dissipate that energy, which is a form of killing it. Simple statement translation. The more we teach people how to read, the lower the percentages of illiteracy will be for those people. Definition of illiteracy is the inability to read or write, which is a form of killing illiteracy. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians 10:4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. It's not carnal. So if it's not carnal, I want to break down the carnal stuff, even though it's not carnal. Because how dare you tell somebody how to be spiritual and not carnal? But let's just say it's not carnal, but let's just say here are some carnal tools or weapons that are used for your benefit or your destruction. It's not anybody doing anything to you. It's you being handed a weapon or a tool. Here's this phone. Thank you. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for this weapon or tool. Hey, Grandpa, here's a weapon or a tool. For the y'all watching, you're like, that's an eraser. And that is an eraser, but my phone is on the Instagram Live. Because it was like, why would you use an eraser for a phone? You could just pick up your phone, but my phone is over there. So, here are some carnal tools or weapons being formed against us that are used for our benefits or our destruction. And it's not limited to this. So again, what about this? What about, I'm giving you the general ones. This is a light decoding. Number one, the lost generation. A lot of their weapons or tools were billboards, posters, newspapers, for the most part. So those were weapons or tools being used. And then guess what? Did everybody pass? In the lost generation, did everybody pass the test of life? No. So let's just say science has not already proved that energy is never destroyed, it's only transferred. Let's just say hypothetically they didn't pass down, their name, which was kind of messed up, calling them the lost generation, but let's just say they hypothetically transferred energy to the greatest generation. To their weapons or tools were billboards, posters, newspapers. Got two more: radio, television. That were weapons or tools. Then they passed that down to the silent generation, which nothing really much changed. And again, these are general ones, but the silent generation had billboards, posters, newspapers, radios, televisions. Now it's going to get deeper. The baby boomers, billboards, posters, newspapers, radio, television, technology, internet after its creation, metaverse in its infancy stages. So the baby boomers, they got a lot of distractions around them. Generation X, billboards, posters, newspapers, radio, television, technology, internet, metaverse in its infancy stages, and the internet in its infancy stages. Millennials, billboards, posters, newspapers, radios, television, technology, internet, metaverse in its infancy stages. Generation Z, who we really need to be putting a lot of emphasis on right now. Billboards, posters, radio, television, technology, first generation internet, metaverse in its infancy stages. Generation Alpha, billboards, posters, radio, television, technology, only knows the internet. They only know the internet. Think about when you were a baby and those big nasty TVs you had. And you was like, look at all my options. Or your other people that you knew that had like all the cable channels, like, whoa. These children only know the internet and smartphones. They are going to be so much better than us. Because what if you had that access at a younger age? Please. I'm just saying, these are walking geniuses, and we're over here too busy to hang out with like little baby Einsteins. Not everybody. So general assassination format. Yeah, because you said we're going to kill depression, and yeah, we're going to kill it. So how are we going to kill it? Well, how do you assassinate something? I'm just giving you 5 general assassination tactics that I've seen reading about assassinations. So phase 1, surveillance. They usually begin a growing file or document of the target. Have we done this with depression? And if we have, what's the file? What's the file that you have on depression from your years of research? Phase 2, stake out the target, master the target's movements. Have you ever just pulled up on suicide? Have you ever just pulled up on depression? Let me just roll my sleeves up, and I'm about to just really interview people that deal with it, go through it, speak at funerals, just really Experience it through research on it. Talk to professors, talk to family members. Again, talk to people who tried it and survived and got to deal with injuries and just stake out the target, master the target's movements. Phase 3, sabotage or destabilization of the target. So when you read about a lot of great people, they deal with sabotage and destabilization. But have you ever wanted to do that to depression? Depression tries to do that to us. It sabotages us and it destabilizes us. Let's hunt the hunters. Phase 4. Reach out to rattle the target and the target's inner circles. So again, you study great assassinations. They used to reach out and talk to the target and talk to the target's inner circle. Can you call depression and rattle depression and call it out? And can you call out its inner circles? What are depression's inner circles? To destabilize it. Last but not least, take out the target and it's at its so-called weakest state. That's what depression does to us. It waits till you get at your weakest state, and then that's when it works. So can we get depression weak? We may. So the hit on depression with the best weapons: God, universe, nature. GUN. God for G, universe. Oh, you ain't talking about no. Universe for you, N for nature. Give me my peace. Give me my peace. So we're going to hit depression with God, universe, and nature. Give me my peace. But it's... Okay. How? Let's create a document on depression. No, I believe like this. I believe like this. No. Let's start in your inner circle first. Anything that we should do, you should do. Try it in your own home. Create a document on depression. Hey, has depression ever tried to mess with you? What has it done? What has it done? How did it do it? What time did it do it? How did it affect you, Mom? How did it affect you, Dad? How did it affect you, Grandma? I've done this. I've started like in elementary school. Like and it's never too late. It's never too late. But at the end of the day, phase 1, creating a document on depression. Because again, we're about to hit depression. So let's create a document. But how you gonna take depression out if you don't even know what you taking out? Yeah, man, it's time for depression to go. Cool, let's pull up on it tonight. I promise you. I've talked to some of the most powerful people on the planet on this hit. This is a real hit that's gonna happen. If you really care about the youth, you join so many organizations. Let's join a united hit on this. And again, let's create documentations of your house, how depression messes with you, how it messes with the people that you love. Phase 2, let's stake out depression. Okay, now it's getting weird. You're talking about staking out depression. How are we going to stake out depression? By studying depressed people. Okay, that makes sense. And watch this. And studying authentically arrogant people. Keep going, Jason, because you're losing me. Why would we study arrogant people? Well, just arrogant is not good, but depression is good. If you had to pick, would you want a depressed youth or would you want arrogant youth? It's kind of like, dang, you really don't want, but it's like, because arrogance leads to a lot of, but depression leads to a lot of, and guess what I say? And, because I put and on there, I wasn't done. And let's logically graft. Oh, I almost dropped that. That was quick. That was smooth. And let's logically graft the two into healthy confidence. Okay. Because, yeah, I don't like arrogant people, but I don't like depressed people. Let's logically graft them into healthy confidence. Phase 3. Let's destabilize it. Let's destabilize depression by healing its victims. That will be hating on it. Healing is hating on depression. Healing is hating on depression. So let's destabilize it by healing its victims within our inner circles first. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not called to preach to the masses? Let's destabilize it by healing its victims within our inner circles first. So what do you mean I gotta talk to people who are close to me, like in my family or people I grew up with? No. See? Who are the people that you call the most and who's in your inner circle? I'm talking about your inner, who's riding with you now circle. Oh, okay, yeah, that would make more sense. For some reason, when it's like comes to healing, it's like we always got to do weird stuff first. Go to your teacher that used to push you down the steps and tell them you forgive them. And no. What? No. Heal the foundation or the people you used to go to because the teacher that was pushing you down the steps. And I'm being sarcastic. Don't think I'm talking about myself. I would have never got pushed down the steps by no teacher without a really big lawsuit. I'd have been up here with a chinchilla coat on if I was talking about myself. So yeah, if your teacher was pushing you down the steps, you would go to somewhere. You would go somewhere else for safekeeping and just like, oh my God, I'm getting pushed down the steps. So when it comes to healing, why would in the world would you go heal by even being like, oh, I accept your apology, I forgive you? Heal the people that's in your inner circle first. Then help heal the people that's in your inner circle's networks second. Then we can move to this logical kumbaya, I just want to be out there with everybody in the community. Phase 4. Let's rattle depression and suicide energies and vibrations with the many solutions attached to it that will rattle depression. If you keep bringing up and keep creating events that are the solutions to depression, just like so many things are set up to depress you. So if there was an event planner for depression, it wouldn't just be one. It would be like a Wu-Tang clan of event planners in little pockets of society planning events every day. Depression has events all the time. They even have drinks for depression. It's called alcohol. It's called a depressant. They have drinks for this stuff. Phase 5. Once we've weakened it, weakened its power. We made it weaker by exposing its many solutions. We begin healing the masses. The masses, which is a form of assassinating the assassinator of so many humans over the years. Let's hunt the hunters, because depression cares not about your race, culture, or bank account. I'm going to say that again. Let's begin healing the masses, which is a form of assassinating the assassinator of so many humans over the years. Let's hunt the hunters. Because depression cares not about your race, culture, or bank account. It doesn't. It's like gravity. It works on everybody. So how can I spot the depression hunters? By like a generational category. Okay, here's a generational depression test. Because remember, I told you that we have been getting depression passed down to us by the different generations. And we literally are like, I'm depressed. And I'm like, what form of depression are you suffering from? I don't know. That's a curse word. I don't know is a curse word when it comes to depression. You got to know your way out of this. That's the only way to get out. So I don't know basically means my key is lost in this desert, this huge desert. And the key is like this big. Can somebody please help me find this key? Nobody in their right mind is going to try to help you find that key. So let's just see what's been getting passed down to us. Because again, if we're going to fight this, we got to know what we're fighting. We can't just be like, I'm depressed. What are you depressed about? Here we go. The lost generation. Guess what they passed down to us? But guess what they went through though? So it's not about what they passed down to us. Well, let's look at them like humans. What did they go through? The lost generation, they experienced a loss of dreams depression due to giving up their life for World War I. And the cultural changes, watch this. Man, we going through some cultural changes with this pandemic, man. All this new norm, and this is weird, man. I don't know how I'm depressed. The loss of dreams, depression, due to giving up their life for World War I and the cultural changes of the Spanish flu. And this was like a Trump. Funny topic that I used to say. Not the so-called Chinese flu, but the Spanish flu. Every race has a flu named after them. I'm just playing. But yes, the Spanish flu created a new cultural norm because there was a flu going around everybody. This is not the first time this has happened. History can literally save your life because again, it decreases illogical depression to more logical depression. Like depression will still happen, but it should be logical. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is the first time this is ever happening. Other humans have experienced this. So let's move down to the greatest generation. So let's break down how they were shaped. The greatest generation, they were shaped by World War II. They were shaped by a war. The second local war. World War. They were shaped by World War II. All cultures. So again, this is all cultures were shaped. Well, that's good. That's how they was shaped by. No. Let's get some more depression in there. Let's get some more. Are you serious? Look at some, that ain't enough depression for this gumbo. Are you crazy? Let's also shape them by the depression energies that came from the Great Depression. Y'all heard of that? So they dealt with a lot of home stress. Think about the Great Depression. A lot of people lost their jobs and they were, think about it, in their homes. And we are the first people going through home stress. And no, you're not. So again, they were going through home stress, new cultural changes in public and in the airwaves. For many people, they shared depression now. What do you mean now, Jason? Well. Technology. Remember, a lot of technology creates more depression. What do you mean, Jason, now? Well, during the Great Depression, think about it. if you didn't have a radio, you would have just went through your local depression, and you kind of could have got out of that funk. But you learned through that radio. Come on, family, let's sit around and learn how depressed we all are. This is a great depression. Let's listen by the radio. This is a great depression. How do we know this, Timmy? Because it said it on the radio. How depressed are we, radio? Okay, so when I see other humans, I'm going to share this depression that this radio told me to. So instead of working it out with your family, you were taught that you were in a Great Depression. Okay. So remember the term super predators? Well, the radio and television co-creates levels of super depression. Thanks, greatest generation. Since this is the generation that created the radio and television. Thank you, greatest generation. See what happens when you let people sit at home for a long time? Remember we talked about that? How Batman and Superman was created during the quarantine? This is actually one of the greatest times to create something. But watch how technology is being created to create shared depression. Like we all in this depression together. The silent generation. Now, their depression comes with smaller numbers, with very little life general direction. Because again, due to the Great Depression, they had lower birth rates. You know, but let's put some more depression in that gumbo. They also went through regret in their older years because of it was parental regret. You know why they went through a lot of regret? The silent generation. That's a horrible word for what they are regretting. They have an overwhelming parental regret of raising baby boomers in the most unrealistic lifestyle in American history. This is according to cultures outside of my culture. I stand firm in this. I stand firm in my research. I'm going to say this again. The silent generation, they went through the depression that came with smaller numbers because, again, very little life was being created during the Great Depression. I say in some cultures because people still was like, hold on, we ain't got no money. We ain't got no direction in life. Come on, Sarah, let's go have some kids. And let's bring them into the Great Depression. Some people really did that. Like, hey, we're in the Great Depression? Hold on, we're in the Great Depression? This is the perfect time to bring young life into the world. And I think the silent generation knew that. So they said, according to, again, cultures outside of mine, I stand firm on what I'm saying. Their overwhelming parental regret of raising baby boomers in the most unrealistic lifestyle in American history. Let's go down to the baby boomers. I know that pissed them off. Baby boomers. Look where their depression comes from. Standing firm. Their depression comes from high and or unrealistic life expectations not being met. Depression. That's how long it is called. It's called high. Their depression is called high and or unrealistic life expectations not being met depression. What you mean? What you mean what I thought was going to happen didn't happen exactly how I thought it was going to happen? They went through that depression. They went through home stresses. They went through cultural changes. But again, Like I said, in public too, because baby boomers are experiencing this shared depression as well by joining the online community. I'm being sarcastic when I say this, but I catch a lot of stuff in the beginning. My Facebook account was the Facebook account when you had to be in college, and I was on the first ones. So I should get a check. I'm just playing. But at the end of the day, your grandma might be on your Facebook page now. Jason, what that got to do with depression? Well, hold on. Now again, my cell phone is doing that, so that's why I can't do it right now. So this is a cell phone. Grandma's depressed. And grandma wants to share her depression on social media. And then this little child sees it and says, and then somebody else older wants to share their depression and share their depression and share their depression. And if I didn't pick this screen up, and remember that word screen. If I didn't pick this screen up, I wouldn't have had to pick myself up from what that screen did to me. Remember, we're going to go back to that. Okay. I got some more depression for the baby boomers. I got a little bit more gumball. Remember the term super predators? Well, the internet co-creates levels of super depression. And thanks to the baby boomers, since this is the generation that created the internet around 1969. Thanks, baby boomers, for creating more shared depression. Well, hold on, Jason. Hold on. I thought you said it could be a weapon or tool. Well, if you're thinking like that, it might be some people thinking like that. Remember, we're talking about depression. So please don't tell me you're that person in the classroom that's talking about a subject that none of the classes is talking about. That wouldn't make sense. If we're talking about tools, this would be a different topic. We're not talking about tools. We're using tools as references and ways to teach a lesson, but we're focusing on killing depression. So at the end of the day, remember, the greatest generation created the radio and television, like the individuals that were living in that era, the inventors, the creators. So again, I'm not talking about a whole generation of people, but the individuals who are being shaped by that, being alive during that particular generation, what they were literally just creating. So the baby boomers, they created the internet around 1969, even though some people might say, no, the Generation X created it. From my research, it seems like the baby boomers got that one. But again, Generation X, their test. So remember, all this stuff is being passed down to us, y'all. We haven't even been born yet, some of us. But this depression is being passed to so many people, because energy is never destroyed. You can't take Tylenol for that. Energy is transferred. So again, we know solutions and stuff like this exist, but this is depression. This was depression that was being passed down. So at the end of the day, Generation X, they dealt with loner depression, and they dealt with home stress. They dealt with new cultural changes in person and online. And they dealt with, again, many levels of shared depression. Same thing with millennials. Millennials dealt with not feeling heard depression. They're dealing with a lot of home stress, new cultural changes in person and online. And they deal with many levels of shared depression as well. Now I got some gumbo for millennials. Now remember the term super predators? And again, no, this video is not skipping. Well, the social media co-creates levels of super depression. Thanks, millennials, since this is the generation that created social media. We're sharing this depression. Because again, we're creating more ways for people to get together that are not using those tools and using them as weapons that, you know, formed against us, right? So, the generation we need to focus on, Generation Z. That generation we need to focus on only, but their test is not feeling rich enough, seen, heard, or so-called normal forms of human contact depression. So I'm going to say theirs again. Generation Z, not feeling rich enough, seen, heard, or so-called normal forms of human contact depression. On top of home stresses and new cultural changes. Generation Alpha, they're experiencing COVID pandemic depression no matter what level they're on. So that's still being studied. But they're dealing with home stresses and new cultural changes as well. But they will be the next creators that I will be like saying, congratulations, Generation Alpha. Y'all done created some stuff. Watch. Okay? So, okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. Okay, so this depression is being passed down to us. And I remember you were talking about some battle locations. Can we cover some battle locations? Or can we cover one? I'll say we'll cover one. Because there are many battle locations that are trying to attack your mind. That depression uses. So let's act like this is a cell phone because I got all my devices going. If a screen door, so let's just say it's time for me to go barbecue, but I want the smell to come through the spot, right? So I will have a screen door installed, okay? So if that screen door was created to divide a room, because according to how your residence is designed, I'm not going to just assume living room or whatever. So I'm going to say if a screen door divides a room, and the outside world. So it divides a room in the outside world from drafts, heat, or light. What can a movie screen or television screen or screen time on your smart devices divide you from? If a screen door divides a room in the outside world from drafts, heat, or light, what can a movie screen, television screen, or screen time on your smart devices divide you from? Television shows and movies can scare you or scar you for a short time, long time, or a lifetime. Today we have access to more online videos and shows of imagery which speeds this energy and mind transference up. One of my New York OGs, much love for Sankofa, he said, Jason, the human body operates, shout out to New York. Now again, he said the human body operates at a frequency rate of 62 to 72 megahertz. Okay, the body operates at a frequency of 62 or 72 megahertz. So certain vibrations in music, I listen to music, or even low frequency magnetic fields can cause certain types of cancers in certain types of people. Also, depression, fatigue, and miscarriage. Oh man, I thought cancer was bad enough. Hold on. So certain vibrations in the music, vibrations. There's a law of vibration. We can't escape vibrations. So again, certain vibrations. Dang, this war is that deep. Certain vibrations in the music or even low frequency magnetic fields can cause certain types of cancer in certain types of people, and also depression, fatigue, and miscarriage. So music, television, and a lot of these technological locations can cause problems in the people. He said we live, we learn, and we know, and then we grow. For sure. That's New York. So they always got to put something fly in what they be saying. And I'm not going to lie, I was like, dang, so the body does operate at a frequency of 62 to 72 megahertz. So again, with vibrations in music or even low frequency magnetic fields cause certain types of cancers in certain types of people. Also, depression, fatigue, and miscarriage. That just let me see that depression is working in so many different areas. Because again, this is a light analysis. This is light. But we're literally living in a society, because again, we're still talking about the screen, where we have handheld depression or handheld rejuvenation. I'm going to say it again. We either have, because again, the law of duality allows you to get two options. Up, down, boy, girl, dry, wet, skinny, fat, good, evil, God, devil, nothing, something. Every negative has a positive, and every problem has a solution. Nothing, something. So even nothing has a duality. It's called something. So if the law of duality exists, then your device can be handheld depression, or it can be handheld rejuvenation. Every time you log on, you can be rejuvenated. Okay, Jason, that sounds good, but what's the definition of rejuvenation? I don't know what rejuvenation is. I'm being sarcastic, but I like to use definitions so people won't literally be like, oh, that was deep. I'm too lazy to look up rejuvenation, so I'll do it for you. Rejuvenation is the action or process of giving new energy or vigor to something. Okay, I know what new energy is, but I ain't gonna raise my hand and be like, man, what does vigor mean? I already heard you, so I'm gonna do vigor definition. Vigor is physical strength, good health, effort, energy, enthusiasm. Hold on. Rejuvenation is the action or process of giving new energy or vigor to something. Oh, you said this could be handheld depression or handheld rejuvenation. Does your cell phone and computers rejuvenate you? Do you take measures to rejuvenate in real life? Your online mental health best practices should reflect your real life mental health best practices. If that makes sense. And last but not least, I'm going to leave you with this supreme question. What is your screen plan for all screens of the world that you will experience? Because I gave you a light little information about what screens can do and what screens can divide you from and what screens divide. And screens are created to divide. You can screen people. You still dividing. You taking the real from the fake. You screening your money, separating the real from the fake ones. What is your screening plan for all screens of the world that you will experience? Thank y'all for checking out my lecture. I'm actually going to stop the recording. And if y'all have any questions,
Recording stopped.
feel free to ask. And thank y'all for joining me on Instagram Live. If you want to check one of these out, as far as even a Q&A, inbox me your info, and we're going to discuss everything. But I don't really tape the discussion or anything like that. So peace and love, y'all.